All right. So I actually looked at the weather the other day and saw that it was sunny and warm in London at least. I didn't. I guess I didn't look at Portsmouth, but has it been all right for you?
Yeah, this is what the British would call a heat wave today.
Well, yeah.
It's yeah. The sun was out. It wasn't cold.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't call it hot. But yeah, it was. It was kind of like an early heat wave. Like we were driving back from work, and there was no traffic because everybody's gone to the beach.
Oh wow.
For the evening. Because obviously, I live on the coast, so it's
right.
5 minutes away, but everybody has just gone down there. So there was like no traffic for me to get home at all.
Oh, wow. Well, that's nice. I mean, yeah, it is early. Unlike here, where I woke up Monday morning for the second Monday in as many weeks with snow on the ground, which really sucks. It is freezing cold here. It's supposed to start turning next week, I think, or towards maybe this weekend. But it's been unusually cold the last 2-3 weeks, and it's not a lot of fun.
Well, at least you don't leave the house anymore.
No, yeah, that's
You're
true.
just in your basement now.
I'm in a basement where it's really cold. So I'm a little tired of that. So I've been working upstairs like a I don't know. I'm no longer a cellar dweller.
Yeah, I think I can imagine it gets pretty cold down there, so I don't blame you for going up to the main part of the house.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think I'll appreciate it in the summer when it eventually gets hot and muggy and gross, and I'll just sit down here and be nice and cool. But at the moment, it's pretty unpleasant.
Yeah, I can imagine. But so I think it was last episode you mentioned about the Spider-Man release date.
I know.
And it did in fact happen. Maybe, was it 2 hours after we recorded?
It was. I sprung it on you because I had just seen some tweets about it right before we recorded, and then they announced it right after that. And I think it looks really good. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I pre-ordered the Collector's Ultimate Deluxe, whatever it's called, edition with the statue and everything. Pretty much as soon as they announced the release date. Not quite as early as in the year as I wanted, but I'm willing to wait.
I forget. Was it September?
Yeah, September 7th, I think.
Yeah, they're trying to get out before Red Dead Redemption, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the games are coming out. I think the new Tomb Raider is coming out around September as well.
Oh, right.
Again, I assume because they want to beat Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's going to be, that's a very anticipated release. And plus, I think once you get to the October time frame, you've also got like Call of Duty, which there's a whole crew of people who are really into that game. Have you tried Far Cry 5? I have not yet, although we do have it at our house.
No, I haven't tried it yet. The guy I sit next to at work, Wade, he watches Twitch streams while he's working, so I can see him watching these Twitch streams. And there's somebody that he's been watching that's been playing Far Cry 5. So like every time I kind of look over, I end up watching it for a few seconds, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should buy it at some point.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really fun. I've heard, it's not gotten good reviews for its storyline, but if you just want a lot of action and shoot 'em up action, it's supposed to be quite good.
Yeah, there's we also got the Spyro announcement since we last recorded as well, which is kind of huge.
Yeah, you're going to have to tell me about Spyro because that falls into this niche of 90s games that I just didn't really play video games for like a decade in the 90s for the most part. And so I'm just not familiar with that game. And I wasn't at that time, even when I was playing games, I wasn't playing, I think that came out on PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, PlayStation 1. I think all three of them were on PlayStation 1.
Okay, so what's it all about?
Yeah, so it's you play a dragon, and it's kind of like a platformy, cartoony kind of game, kind of similar to the likes of like Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank, that kind of thing, where it's it's kind of a bit over the top, but it's essentially a platformer.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're remastering all three of the games for PlayStation 4, Xbox, and I think Switch as well.
Oh, all right. That's right. It definitely is on the Switch, I think, and it looks. I saw some side by side shots of similar scenes on Twitter, I think it was, and it's really it's like they redid the whole game. I guess it's amazingly more detailed and colorful.
Oh yeah, it kind of falls into the same category as what Crash Bandicoot was like.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the same game technically, but in reality, because they've had to rewrite everything from scratch, it might as well just be a new game at this point.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, have you heard of a game called Minute? I don't mean to totally change the subject.
No, I don't think I have.
I think it's on. Well, it's on everything but the Switch. I don't think it's on the Switch. I think it's on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Mac. And it is. I first heard about it on Remaster about a week ago, and it's a game where you die every minute, and it's a 16-bit black and white adventure game, kind of in the vein of maybe an old Zelda game. And but the trick is you get to checkpoints where even though you die after a minute, you respawn at that point, so you can advance in the game. And it's supposed to be a lot of fun and really well done. I've been looking at it, and I'm really, it looks like a game to me that would work well on an iPad. And I've been hoping that there'd be some announcement about them coming out on iOS, but I don't really like playing games on my Mac so much, so I've kind of held off. But I may have to check it out on PlayStation, I think.
Yeah, now you've described it to me, I do remember listening to that episode of Remaster, but I didn't catch the actual name of the game. But yeah, it does sound really interesting.
Yeah, it does look cool. So, all right, so it's coming out, and the Spyro's coming out, and it's three in one, basically. It's all three in a single release. And when's that one coming out?
I think that's around September time as well.
All right.
I can't remember if they've actually released a date, but again, because it's a remake of older games, the price is like slightly lower. Like I think it's in like £30 or £35, and obviously you're getting 3 games in that, so it's really good value as well.
Oh yeah, that's I'll have to check that out. I mean, I like those remaster games. I'm still enjoying Burnout Paradise. Great game if you like crashing cars. It's a lot of fun. So I've been playing that, and I actually have been playing a ton of Zelda the last couple of weeks. Breath of the Wild. I simply, I was feeling a little burned out and stressed, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go wander around Hyrule. So I started playing on the big screen instead. I guess partly handheld and partly big screen, and just not even really doing much in the way of quests other than just walking around all over the place and doing stuff along the way. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I still need to get back into it. I played a good few hours of it, and then I just haven't got back to it yet. But I'm sure I'll do it eventually.
Yeah, and it's really amazing how big that the whole universe is. I mean, it just takes forever to get from one place to another. I mean, you can do teleporting from one spot to another once you get to certain locations, and you can get on a horse, and there's a lot of other ways to kind of move more quickly, but you can just wander around on foot like I did, which is, I don't know, it's fun. I crossed a desert, went up into the snow, lost all my weapons, had to go back to
of course.
That can be a little frustrating when you get your butt kicked by a bunch of bad guys and have to go get new weapons. But yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, it's not news to anyone that Breath of the Wild is a lot of fun, but it's one of those games that I think does well where you can go back to it and play it over and over and still have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's partly why I'm not in a rush to get back to it, because it, like you say, it doesn't really matter. I can still jump in wherever I've left off and have fun and maybe do some mission, some of the quests and stuff like that. But if not, I can just kind of run around and take a look at the game.
What have you been playing, since a lot of the stuff we talked about before is stuff that still isn't out?
Yeah, I haven't actually played a lot. I think the last thing I played was Golf Story, and that was a couple of months ago now. I've got a few bits on pre-order, so I've pre-ordered Spider-Man. Yep. Which is obviously coming out in September. I also pre-ordered Toad Treasure Tracker for the Switch, which is the Wii U game that's now coming out on the Switch.
I remember seeing that during the Nintendo Direct. Although I don't remember it. It wasn't super memorable for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd known about the game for a while because I'd kind of had my eye on getting a Wii U at some point when they kind of dropped in price secondhand. But this was one of the games that I was kind of wanted to play, but now it's come to the Switch. I kind of got one less reason to get a Wii U. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good year for the Switch so far, and there's probably more stuff coming because we've got Mario Tennis coming out, Hyrule Warriors, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, plus Toad Treasure Tracker. Yep. We've got Spyro coming out for the Switch. There's Octopath Traveler. The Switch is kind of really nailing it again for a second year.
Yeah, they really are, and it's a real healthy number of independent developers, game developers on the platform too, which is really nice to see because, sometimes there will be gaps between these big titles that come out on any system. And it's nice to have kind of these less expensive, but still fun and shorter games that you can dip into every now and then. I know Golf World, I've heard a lot of good things from Mike Hurley, and I guess you like it a lot too, right?
Yeah, Golf Story.
Oh, Golf Story. That's what it is.
Golf Story.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure Golf World would be good as well. It's
right.
called that. But yeah, Golf Story it's kind of like nice and relaxing, which I guess is what a lot of golf games are like.
Yeah.
But there's a bit more kind of comedy, and a lot of what you're actually doing isn't playing golf, but you're doing like golf style activities. You're trying to hit like crocodiles in a lake with golf balls and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of fun, and that's $10-15 or something, I think, on the eShop.
Yeah, I should check that one out. The other thing is that even though things like Mario Tennis, you would think that that's maybe that's kind of a secondary Mario title. It's not going to be that big a deal. That looks like a really involved and interesting game to me. There's a lot of different layers to it.
Yeah, because there's like the main tennis angle to it, and they've like included like the Wii style tennis where you can use the Joy-Cons to do motion tennis, and then you've got the story mode as well.
Right.
I think, like you say, I think it's going to actually be a pretty big and involved game.
Yeah, and probably more approachable for like a broader audience too, which would be good. I also think it's interesting what Nintendo's doing, and really smart that they're bringing a lot of these games that were good Wii U games, but just not enough people bought Wii U's. I mean, I didn't buy one, and so like the Toad game and a bunch of other things. It's just nice to have those things available on the Switch now, so that there's a decent number of people who can check them out and buy them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, talking about what, obviously I haven't been playing anything, but I think the next thing I'm going to play is Life is Strange Before the Storm, which I picked that up. I did pre-order it. I just haven't got around to playing it yet. But I played Life is Strange maybe 6 months ago. I hadn't played it like when it came out, but yeah, I'm probably going to jump into that next.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good one. I'm still just kind of mostly playing the big Switch titles that I got a while ago, other than Burnout Paradise, which I play once in a while and enjoy. But yeah, I've been doing Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's probably about it for games. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that's coming out.
No, there's a bunch of iOS. I think iOS has kind of gotten interesting because now we have console games showing up there like Fortnite and PUBG and all that. And I don't know. I think it's interesting times in mobile games, but it's a different market altogether still. And I think those games like Fortnite and PUBG, or those games on mobile, are more built as companions for the actual main game than anything else. That the experience of playing them on mobile isn't great, although I think PUBG's controls seem a little bit better than Fortnite overall. So
yeah, there definitely kind of exists to, I guess a lot of these games are kind of addictive to the the people that play them a lot.
Right.
So like if you can at least play like a game on your lunch break or something, I guess it and I assume they're making money somehow. Is there like in-app purchases or
there's
something like that on these games?
You're right. It's usually the loot type stuff. You get skins and other things is how they make the money.
Sure.
So
of course,
this will just continue to drive demand for that, which is fine. I mean, the reason I view them as companion apps mainly is because there's very little that you can. There's not an easy entryway into them on mobile. I think it's a little easier to get into the games on the console where you've got a little more inroads into like tutorial land and figuring out exactly how it works, as opposed to on mobile where you're just kind of dumped into the full experience and trying to poke at all sorts of controls on the screen, which are a little bit more involved than your standard iOS or Android mobile game.
Yeah, definitely.
So Rob, one other thing I thought we would talk about at least briefly is travel apps, because travel apps have been on my mind a little bit lately, and there are a million different travel apps, but I've been booking some flights and things lately, and one app that has stood out for me, and I'm hoping I'm not talking about an app that's US only, but I don't think it is, because I think my son who's in Ireland used it to book from Ireland. but you can't. It's called Hopper, and what it does is it looks at all the major airlines, and it has a record of kind of what the price patterns are for those flights to different places. And so it just basically gives you advice as to when you should buy and when you shouldn't. It'll tell you historically this flight will continue to drop in price until this date, and then it'll start rising again. So it kind of gives you, it's no guarantee, but it gives you an idea of when you should actually pull the trigger and buy. And I've been impressed with it. I've saved several $100s for things like, San Jose, tickets to San Jose for WWC, waiting longer than I thought was wise, but then finding that the price went down, because what you can do is you set up these trackers and then you get notifications. And when it happens, sometimes what an airline will do is only put a handful of seats on at a discounted price. So you go on and you have to buy really quickly because there might be, you might have 3 people traveling and there are 6 seats left. But it's worked really well. Have you ever used anything like that?
Not for travel, but I do use there's a service called Camel, which is a Amazon price tracking app.
Oh, right.
And it sounds very similar in terms of functionality to this, in that it will show you kind of historical data for a specific product. So they've got they've got a Chrome extension and Safari extension.
Sure.
So you go to an Amazon page for I don't know, Far Cry 5 for example, and I can go on there, I can click the Chrome extension, and it will tell me what the cheapest price has ever been, what it started at, what it currently is at, and you can kind of set alerts and say, right, tell me when it drops below this price.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that quite a bit, especially for games, because a game comes out and within 6 months it's lost like 50% of its retail price.
Right.
So I'll set up alerts and just say, just tell me when this drops by £10 or £15, and then I'll buy it then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it certainly sounds like it's kind of doing the same sort of thing. It can keep track of everything, and as you say, sometimes you feel like maybe you're waiting too long, but then the data generally doesn't lie either.
Right. Yeah, no, it works really well. And what Hopper just started doing is they started doing it for hotels. At first it was just New York City, but now I think they've got, and this part of it is U.S. only, I think. They've got 6 or 7 cities in the U.S. where they track hotel prices, like big cities like New York and Chicago and L.A., things like that. And I haven't had an opportunity to try that yet because I just haven't gone to any of the cities that they cover yet. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's a good way to do it, especially if, as I was doing. My son's coming with me to WWC, one of my kids. So, buying multiple plane tickets just doubles and triples the price very quickly. So, it's nice to have something to save you a little bit of money along the way.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. It is available in the UK as well, at least.
Okay.
I can see it on the App Store now, I think so. But yeah, it's was there anything else we wanted to talk about this week?
I will give you another surprise, I think. Maybe you already know this, but did you know that they have international shipping now for a bunch of Amazon products in the U.S. Amazon store?
I had seen something about this, but I've never found a product that I needed to do international shipping on.
I don't know. I mean, if that's something that anybody who's listening maybe has thought about doing in the past because there's something that was available in the U.S. store that you couldn't get somewhere else. They are doing, I think I read 25 million products or something. There's always been international shipping is something that's been available, but it's been pretty limited, I think, in terms of the range of products. And now it's a much bigger set of them that are available. So that's kind of good. I mean, I don't know. I've got a Amazon UK account too. So I've used that once in a while, but it's a pain in the butt to have all these different accounts. I assume that this just means you can. I haven't looked into the details myself, but I assume this means you can order it from your home country Amazon account in the few countries that Amazon actually exists in. It always surprises me and shocks me how few places Amazon actually operates. But
oh yeah, it's really not as many as you'd assume.
No, it's significant chunks of Europe are not covered by Amazon. I know.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's more. There's I guess a little bit more flexibility there now in terms of doing international shipments. So worth checking out, I guess.
Yeah, I was just having a look at it actually, and it's called Amazon Global Store is what they're calling it. And one of the interesting things is they cover the customs and import fees as well, which is something that I always get screwed with.
Yeah.
You know, if I order t-shirts from, like, Cotton Bureau is a good example, just because you know, once it gets over like $15, that's when we start getting charged when it comes into the UK.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, so any t-shirt that I order, I end up paying an extra like £12 or something.
The threshold is so low.
Oh yeah,
you don't have to spend
it's infuriating.
Much. Yeah, you don't have to spend much. I mean, I know. I just remember when I sent the HomePod to Federico, it was like, you know, you're going to spend almost as much in shipping and customs as the HomePod costs, right? You're okay with that, right? Because it was super expensive to send that from Chicago.
Yeah, and it's the annoying thing is it's kind of hit and miss as well.
Yeah,
because I've had a few t-shirts. You know, I'm just using Cotton Bureau as an example. Like, this is absolutely no fault of theirs,
right?
You know, but I've had a few t-shirts from them, but I don't always pay the customs fees. Like, there's just no fees sometimes.
Huh.
So I don't know what's going on when the parcels come in, but it feels like it's just at random.
Well, they are. I think that they have standardized their international shipping in some way, and I'm not sure. Maybe this doesn't go to the customs part of it. Maybe this is just the shipping aspect of it. But I do know that it's not quite as expensive for them in particular as it used to be.
Yeah. So my most recent one that I got, that came through. That actually came from, I think, France or maybe the Netherlands, but it had actually come from the US, then to the Netherlands, and then to me. Mm-hmm. So I still had to pay the customs fees on it, which is, you know, it's kind of frustrating, but it's fine. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, and I know this going in. I know I just accommodate that into the price. Yeah. But
t-shirts.
But yeah, kind of.
I know a lot about this world because I've been researching it. and there are no good solutions, I can tell you, for doing t-shirts and having them available worldwide.
No, definitely not. You know, but Amazon covering all this kind of stuff, like, especially Amazon, because I trust them to deal with it more than anyone else. Like, if they're saying there'll be no fees, we'll deal with it all, this is the price that we charge you is the price you pay, like, that's fantastic.
Yep.
As I say, I have seen this on the UK site, but I've not had occasion to order anything from the US yet, but you know, it's nice to know that it's there.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I'm sure there are some things that might come up at some point, but yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting too. All right, well, I think that's probably it for today. I don't think we have anything else to talk about, do we?
No, I don't think we do.
All right, well, good talk to you, Rob.
Cool, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.